Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
Well, there is little left to say and lament in this damnable year of 2020. We'll live with the downdraft of this year for the rest of our lives. And now it is framed, bookended by the most virulent pandemic in over 100 years, the onset of it early in the year, and now as autumn sets in, the president himself contracting the virus and setting an already historically chaotic political environment into a state of uncertainty unparalleled in our lifetimes. And of course, in between, we had an economic meltdown, horrific job losses, entire industries put on ice, and then raging violence in cities across the land, the most bitter racial and political divisions in the last 50 years, or perhaps even since the Civil War, a war over the Supreme Court, and now this. Here to try and make sense of it all, somehow, is the editor-in-chief of LibertyNation.com and most decidedly my better half, Leesa K. Donner. Hello, Leesa.
Hi, Tim.
Now, you and I have shared the thought that, as in Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. But I gotta say, this jaw-dropping succession of unparalleled events sure feels like nothing any of us or the country has ever come close to experiencing before.
Well, it's kind of funny because I tend to not get rattled at these things. And yet I think this is the classic, it is the best of times, it is the worst of times. I mean, high drama. I personally don't think this is a huge game changer. Unlike you wrote eloquently and you made a good case, but I beg to differ. And it is possible for husbands and wives to disagree and still get along, I think. I think most voters have really made up their mind. I think Trump has always said he's a fighter, and now he has a real wonderful opportunity to show that.
How about the reaction to Trump's diagnosis from the left? A lot of commentary about how he ridiculed masks and that his chickens are now coming home to roost. Do they have a point?
No, I don't think they have a point. I mean, anybody can get it, at any time, anywhere. It's pretty clear he got it from one of his staffers, Hope Hicks. But look at it this way. We have a situation where Biden, he sort of has to take the gloves off a little bit and start playing nice in the sandbox. I mean, it's not nice to beat up on somebody who has a possible deadly disease.
Now, many Americans already feel extremely insecure because of this virus and the lost jobs and the mob violence and the explosive, incendiary political climate. And now the 74-year-old president with a weight issue has a virus that can be particularly deadly for people over 65 with an underlying condition like obesity. All of this with a month to go before Election Day. How much can people take? How much can this country absorb?
I think you have to be willing to separate the wheat from the chaff. I mean, I don't think a Big Mac and supersized fries are going to kill Donald Trump. I just really don't. And he has a weight. A lot of Americans have a weight issue, So I think that we have to take it one step at a time. We have to look, his campaign is going to have to change in the next 10 or 15 days. But if anybody has proven that you can run a presidential campaign from one room, it's Joe Biden. So, I think if Trump is smart, he makes the most of Zoom. I would virtually show up at those rallies or buy airtime.
But seeing that he's already down in the polls and now he's in effect disabled for half of the remaining 30 days of the campaign at least, can Trump possibly be reelected under these circumstances?
Okay, I just want to point out one quote from Mark Angelides today. And he said, he mentioned about in April, UK Prime Minister tested positive for the coronavirus, despite the polarization of his leadership up until that point. Angelides wrote, the nation felt a surge of sympathy and support with folks applauding him from their doorstep. The point is that Trump could even get more support from this. And I have to go back to my original thought, which is I believe what Rasmussen says is true, which is there are maybe 3 or 4% undecided.
We've talked a lot about Joe Biden's senility, which some 60% of people believe he's in the early stages of senility. And now you have a president who, let's face it, his health is going to be in question when people go to the polls on November 3rd, no matter whether he goes back out on the campaign trail or not.
Well, look, Tim, this is what you get when you have a 74 and a 78-year-old men running for the highest office in the land. I mean, you especially in a year where there's like a worldwide deadly virus. I mean, we all knew this going in. They knew this before the Democratic convention. They knew this before the Republican convention. This is not news. And I really don't think it has to change much, except maybe the style in which the president is campaigning.
Okay, Leesa, thanks for bringing us down to earth and providing some perspective and allowing us, for at least the time we've been together, not to panic too much. Thanks for joining
All right.
us.
As we often say to each other, no sudden moves.
No sudden moves. Slow and steady wins the race, doesn't it?
Indeed. Thanks, Tim.
Leesa K. Donner, editor-in-chief of LibertyNation.com.